I want to start by cutting through the noise and telling you what this clip is really about. It's not just drama or shouting, it's a film guy calling out other so-called experts for handing out praise where the tape doesn't back it up. The creator opens hot. He's frustrated that grown men in the COWBOYS media space are piling on one narrative about Maisie Smith and ignoring what Toya is consistently showing on game film. That frustration isn't just for show, it frames the whole discussion you're about to hear. So let's set it up simply. Maisie Smith lined up in the zero tech, responsible for both A-gaps, while the game we're watching was an outside zone design that asked other blockers to seal the edge and create a lane. The video walks through that play slowly to show how the offense's execution, not the center's efforts, created the final look. And that matters because a lot of people are looking at the stop and automatically giving Maisie credit. I'm going to be blunt with you. That's a weak shortcut. If you want clean film analysis, you've got to look at design responsibilities, who was supposed to release, who had gap control, and whether the offense or defense executed the plan. In this instance, the creator argues the Ravens' right tackle and the fullback missed their assignments, the tight end was out of position, and that created an alley that allowed Jack Sanborn to make the tackle. Meanwhile, Toya's work on other reps, absorbing double teams, pushing the pocket, shedding blocks, is exactly the kind of impact you should reward on tape, because those plays change lanes and prevent touchdowns. This chapter isn't about bashing Maisie personally, it's about being honest with film and holding everyone to the same standard. Before we go deeper, quick question for you. Did Toya flash more on tape than Maisie in that game? Vote in the comments yes or no and tell me why. I read every argument. If you like this kind of breakdown and want more real tape, work from a channel that actually explains assignments, hit subscribe, and help us reach 16,000 so we can keep bringing follow-up film sessions. Also give the video a like if you want part 2 where we slow the clips down even more. When you're ready, let's jump into the play-by-play. Now let's get into the real meat of it, what Toya actually did on tape. You can talk all day about stats or highlight reels, but film doesn't lie. And when you break it down, play by play, the difference between a player doing the bare minimum and making a real impact becomes crystal clear. On the plays in question, Maisie Smith's job as the zero-tech nose tackle was to control both A-gaps, meaning he had to account for the area directly on either side of the center. The video points out that on one stretch play designed by the Ravens, Maisie did what he was supposed to do, but nothing more. He held his position, didn't get beat, and stalled in the middle. That's technically not bad, but it doesn't change the play's outcome. In fact, the way the right tackle, fullback, and tight end executed or mis-executed their assignments is what created the open lane for Jack Sanborn to make the tackle. Giving Maisie credit for that would be misleading, and that's exactly the kind of sloppy analysis the creator is calling out. Now Toya, that's a different story. Across multiple reps, he's shown absorbing double teams without losing ground, pushing the pocket, shedding blockers, and actually creating disruption. One of the clearest examples highlighted shows Toya stepping into a play near the end zone, engaging a double team 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, and preventing what could have been a touchdown. That's the type of impact that changes a game. You're seeing him use leverage, hand placement, and a quick get-off to redirect blockers and pressure the offense in real time. And it isn't just about one play. Throughout the tape, he consistently makes the offensive line work harder and gives his teammates a chance to make plays that they otherwise wouldn't get. It's subtle, but that's the difference between a player who is solid on tape and one who's actually affecting outcomes. Here's the takeaway for fans watching at home. Don't just look at where the ball carrier is tackled. Look at who's engaged, who's moving the line, who's absorbing pressure, and who's pushing the pocket. Toya's work creates opportunities and forces offenses to adjust on the fly. Maisie, in contrast, stayed clean largely because of missed blocks and miscommunications on the other side. That's not bad effort, but it's not game-changing either. Quick engagement for you. Which rep impressed you the most? Was it Toya absorbing double teams, pushing the pocket, or that near end zone play disrupting the running back? Drop your pick in the comments, and if you want, timestamp your favorite clip. And if you haven't already, subscribe now. We're breaking down every critical Cowboys play in ways other channels won't, so you know exactly who's stepping up and who's just holding the line. Stick with me, because next we're going to call out the critics and talk about media bias and fan reaction. That's where things get even more interesting. Now that we've broken down what Toya is actually doing on tape, let's talk about the critics, the so-called film experts, and the fan reaction. Because this is where the conversation gets heated. The creator in the video isn't just analyzing plays. He's calling out analysts who take shortcuts, hand out credit incorrectly, or misinterpret assignments just to fit a narrative. He even names Landon Holyfield as an example, not in a personal attack, but to highlight how good intentions can still spread misleading conclusions. This is about being honest with the film, and the point is clear. If you're trying to teach football or break down tape for fans, you have to check your assumptions. Too often, people default to basic football rules. Line up over the center, you must have made the stop, without considering both sides of the play, offensive design, or miscommunications that create opportunities. That's where bias creeps in, whether it's conscious or not. Fans, take note. Understanding the difference between effort and impact is critical. Mazi Smith may have held his ground, but he wasn't pushing the pocket. He wasn't absorbing blockers in ways that forced adjustments, and he wasn't affecting outcomes consistently. Meanwhile, Toya flashed repeatedly, creating disruption and changing the trajectory of plays. Yet some analysts and commentators tried to give Mazi credit for plays that were outside his assignments, and that's exactly the frustration being expressed. It's a reminder that not every credit given on social media or in videos is earned, and that sometimes hype can cloud real performance evaluation. This chapter is also a lesson in community accountability. As Cowboys fans, we need to question narratives that don't match what's happening on tape. Don't just believe what sounds good. Look deeper. Think about the influence these analysts have. Their reach can shape opinions, discussions, and even fan sentiment about a player's future. The creator argues that some people are threatened by emerging voices, by honest breakdowns, and by someone showing more diligence than the usual clickbait content. That's why it's important to pay attention to analysis that goes beyond emotion, hype, or bias, and focuses on both sides of the play. Quick engagement moment. Who do you trust more for film breakdowns? The independent guys who dig deep like this creator, or mainstream analysts you see on TV? Drop a name in the comments. And a yes/no vote. Should analysts admit when a play is a success for the offense rather than crediting the defender? This isn't just a debate. It's about raising the standard for football discussion among Cowboys fans. If you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell. We're here to bring you real, detailed film work without sugarcoating or taking shortcuts. Stick around, because next, we'll take all of this analysis and show what it actually means for the Cowboys roster, coaching decisions, and your takeaways as a fan. That's where the implications hit home. So, what does all this mean for the Cowboys moving forward? When you watch players like Toya making consistent impact plays while others like Mazi Smith in this game do the bare minimum, it sends a clear message about roster value and coaching priorities. Coaches aren't just looking for effort, they're looking for players who can change the trajectory of a play, who can absorb blockers, push the line of scrimmage, shed blocks, and create disruption. That's the kind of work that gives a defense a chance to make stops, prevents touchdowns, and puts your team in a better position every down. Toya is showing that he can consistently deliver those moments. And that's huge when you're competing for snaps and building depth along the defensive line. For Mazi Smith, the takeaway isn't that he's terrible. He's a human being, a cowboy, and he's in his third season. But the tape shows that even when he's doing his assignment, he's not creating disruption, he's not stretching plays, and he's not pushing the pocket the way a player like Toya can. That kind of analysis is invaluable for fans who want to understand why certain players might earn more. Opportunities, why competition matters, and how coaches evaluate performance beyond just the box score. Understanding these nuances helps you see the bigger picture. Depth charts, snap rotations, and even coaching decisions hinge on who consistently impacts plays, not just who lines up in the right spot. For fans, the lesson is simple. Pay attention to film, understand assignments, and differentiate effort from impact. The Cowboys have talent, but they also need players who can consistently make plays when it matters.